The altcoins in this video are actively reshaping banking in the background as you watch this video. Outdated and inefficient systems that will soon be extinct because of blockchain technology and the altcoins that are in this video. These are the altcoins that are reshaping banking forever. The particular altcoins in this video have a lot to do with lending and borrowing, but they do so much more, which we'll obviously get into. So I sourced this article from Baseline. And what I want to get across to you before we even get into the altcoins and a lot of the lending that goes on and borrowing that goes on, right? And how these different altcoins are going to reshape banking. You also have to first understand how outdated the entire infrastructure of banking really is, right? So start off here at the top. Document management is one of the most significant sources of time consumption for lenders. How and where you store documents, duplicates even, document generation, quotes, payoff statements, loan documents, and pre-approval letters are just a few examples of documents that lenders create every single day. Many lenders use Excel sheets, which is crazy. Why would I need to use an Excel sheet for this when I can just record everything on chain? Just doesn't make sense. Then get stored in multiple different places, reviewed and commented on by different teams. So they have a peer review process versus me being able to go on chain and just check, right? So I go on somewhere like Etherscan, right? Every single chain has their own scan, and I can go on there and verify that myself. I don't need multiple people and send around physical documents everywhere. That's just crazy talk. It's 2025. It's insane. So second here, lenders and servicers spend hours every month collecting payments from their borrowers and managing payouts to their investors. So probably on the phone, making calls. These people are sending emails out, things like that, right? Additionally, you shouldn't then have to manually update your loan accounting ledger system, right? Ledger system, this is all internal. This is not blockchain. And on blockchain side, we have ledger systems that are obviously updated by the second, simultaneously, instantaneously, right? To track your payments, collections, and payouts. Completely outdated, like completely outdated. So here's the next thing, right? Transferring from origination. So when you originate loans under one system and then service them under another system, you end up doing some of the same work twice because those two systems can't talk to each other, right? So it's not like blockchain where anyone can go and validate a transaction on chain. You can't do that. Everything is human intervention still, which is crazy. Not to mention, you are creating an opportunity for user error that's not necessary. So the banking system is archaic, right? There's a reason why fraud exists, right? Because as you saw here on the top where they're talking about duplicates, right? A lot of the times when people write fake checks and do things like that, that's fraudulent, obviously. And a lot of that stuff gets bypassed by the system because they have an archaic system. They have humans still in place, right? A lot of manual labor is still in place. Like they said, a lot of people putting things in on Excel spreadsheets. Like, why would you be doing that in 2025 when there's obviously and clearly a better option, which is obviously blockchain technology? It just doesn't make sense. And this is one of the reasons why the altcoins that I'm about to talk about in this video, more specifically geared towards lending and borrowing, but they do so much more, which this is why these things exist. And this is why these things are going to play a massive factor in where we go in the future when it comes to money and banking and things like that. So to start off with, one of the lending and borrowing platforms I'm going to be talking about in this video is Moonwell. I haven't mentioned this one a while on my channel, but I have mentioned it before. If you know, you know. If you've been here for a while, you know. So subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be talking about a lot of new altcoins that you don't want to miss going forward. We're going to probably have an alt season pretty soon. I don't like to say anything's 100%, but interest rates got dropped today. So very exciting times. We're probably going to see a lot more of these altcoins do very well. So you want to be here and make sure you catch my video so you can buy a lot of these altcoins before they pop. Anyways, lending made simple. Put your digital assets to work. Lend or borrow to handle whatever life throws your way. Put it back on your own schedule with no monthly payments or additional fees, right? So the one thing that I do like about Moonwell is that it's a lending borrowing platform similar to Aave. Now, we're going to get into that a little bit later in the video, why that's very important. Okay, to start off, we're going to break down how Moonwell works, okay? And why Moonwell for me is one of the altcoins and one of the types of altcoins, right? This particular narrative that's going to do very well, and it will reshape banking at some point. It will reshape banking. So the first thing you can see here, right, when you come onto Moonwell's site is the Moonwell card. And I actually want to dive in deeper to this. So the first thing you see here when you come on to Moonwell's card page, you see Visa, very cool. And you see Moonwell at the top there. It's rotating, it'll come back around, and you can spend crypto like cash. So you can load up this card with your crypto and go out into the real world and buy things with cash. This is something I get asked all the time. How do you spend money in the real world? How do you use this crypto, right? We have a plethora of options now, and you should start to make steps toward getting stuff like this so that you have the ability to spend your crypto. I don't actually advise you to, right? I advise you to hold good assets, right, and not spend them, but you can use stuff like USDC or USDT and so on and so forth, different stable coins. If you want to trade some of your assets into those and use them, you have the option to do that. Accepting over 44 million merchants worldwide, leveraging yours, and has never been done easier, right? Available globally, Moonwell's card is acceptable in over 180 countries, right? Giving you the freedom to shop wherever you are, which is actually really cool. Oh, I didn't know I could do that either. So I can kind of move it around if I want to. That's pretty cool. And obviously they have tap as well. So if you scroll down here even a little bit further, you can have a digital card or a physical card. And that also goes to, mind you, this is also on Google Pay and Apple Pay as well. I want to make that very clear. So as you go down here, and it says it right there, Apple Pay and Google Pay, right? So this is something very accessible. This is not something you're going to be struggling to spend your money with. You can actually put this card and your card details on your iPhone or your Android, and you can go out and spend your crypto. Very simply now. This is one of many features of Moonwell. I didn't even get into the lending and borrowing portion of it yet, but I will in a moment. So this is one of the biggest reasons why I think that crypto and different crypto assets, altcoins specifically, are going to change and reshape the banking system. Understand that you can create your own Moonwell virtual account today. And this is a US-based account. So Moonwell's virtual account empowers people worldwide to receive ACH transfers, which is pretty much like an electronic transfer. So here in Canada, specifically where I live, which is Toronto, the GTA area, we use e-transfers in our banking system. This is the equivalent to something like Cash App in the USA, right? Wire payments from US companies to individuals. So this means that people from all around the world are going to be able to create virtual checkings accounts with a US number, a US routing number. So they're going to be able to get paid in USD if they have, let's say, an online job. There's a lot of people that do gig work in other countries for people here in America, and they're going to be able to get paid straight to a bank account, a US bank account, through using something like Moonwell. Like, understand how revolutionary that is. So as far as my knowledge, there's no one else in crypto doing this right now. It's to my knowledge, right? So funds are instantly converted to USDC with zero fees, offering seamless access to the on-chain economy and Moonwell's flagship USDC vault, where you can secure your savings and long-term growth. And it says right here, you can go on and create your account today. Absolutely amazing use case. This is why I brought you Moonwell months ago. They've been continuing to expand, and I think Moonwell is going to be one of those sleepers that does very, very, very well this cycle. Now, understanding that just in America alone, that banking is a $24.5 trillion industry, you have to understand this is a massive addressable market. And something I want to get into in a second is the market cap of Moonwell. So looking over here at the market cap of Moonwell, Moonwell is sitting at a $90 million market cap, and the use case is addressing a $24.5 trillion market. Take that into account. Not to mention, right, that I can go on Moonwell and I can give my assets and earn yield on my assets, right, and lend my assets, right? Sky Dollar, Eurocoin, USD, Morpho, Virtuals, Staked ETH, right? Moonwell itself, Aerodrome, all these different assets, and earn yield as well, right? So it's doing a lot of different things that you wish most of your other projects were doing, right? Lend, borrow, build for tomorrow. Don't let your digital assets lie dormant. Join thousands of others harnessing the power of compound interest by supplying on Moonwell. And this is the total supply size, so market cap size, right, on the Moonwell platform. So you have the total borrowed and the total supplied, and then just added it up here as well. And you can also breathe easy because Moonwell has a ton of different bounty programs. So if anything were to come up with any like issues or anything like that, you have people constantly trying to check the smart contract code for any vulnerabilities, because there's a payout for it, right? 250,000. So, and they have a bunch of different audits as well, as you can see here on the side. So you know that this platform is very secure. So I don't want it to be lost on you that a lot of these third world countries and these places that can't access the US dollar as easily as we can are going to benefit greatly from this. Being able to go online with literally a Wi-Fi connection and a cell phone and interact with a protocol like Moonwell and open up a US bank account, eventually getting one of those cards that they can fill with crypto and using their resources to their advantage, where very recently they didn't have the opportunity, right, to go and open up a US bank account. Now they have the option to earn money in USD and get it deposited straight to their bank account. In my opinion, this is one of the biggest breakthroughs in a sector of banking that hasn't really been touched yet by crypto, and Moonwell is hitting on all those basis floors, right? Not to mention, a lot of these third world countries don't like to hold their own dollars, right? Whatever country they're from, their dollars usually overinflated and completely devalued. So they hold a lot of their assets, or when you go to the other countries, they ask you for US dollars, right? I know there's some places in Africa that use minutes over their own currency, like cell phone minutes over their own currency. When I go to Jamaica, whenever I go to a resort or I go on the street or anything, they're asking for US dollars. When you go into different establishments, like for example, KFC is the one everyone talks about. When you go into a KFC in Jamaica, they ask for USD. Everything is in USD, right? And this is true for plenty of countries around the world, right? Almost 50% of all dollars used globally is USD. Not to mention, a lot of these other countries also don't really use as much credit as we do here. Like here, we get a lot of loans, we have a lot of mortgages, and that's how we're able to access different assets and things like that, right? Over in other countries, it's not like that. Like when you go to Jamaica and you're driving around, usually in the countryside more so, you'll see a lot of these houses that have like one floor built, and then they don't have really a second floor or a third floor. And a lot of people drive by there and think that the place is abandoned. It's like, no, it's not abandoned. It's because over there isn't a lot of access to credit and capital. So what people do is they save up their money and they build their houses in proportions. And I know this is true for a lot of countries around the world. So when they're building homes, they take a little money that they've saved and they invest it, and they might build the first floor of the house, right? Then they save a little more money, and they take that money and they build the second floor, right? And then they take a little more, and then they may build the roof and the windows, and they may build out the fence around the house. So they do everything in portions because their system doesn't really rely on credit. What it does rely on is US dollars. And this is another way, Moonwell specifically, right? Moonwell is another way for them to access that capital. And I'm also going to be talking about another platform where they can access credit and loans in just a moment. So when you come over to Morpho, yes, I've talked about Morpho a lot before, but beautiful website. Look, it follows my mouse, which is pretty cool as well. So connected to the most trusted lending network, access global liquidity at the best possible terms, powered by open infrastructure that serves, not extracts, which is pretty cool. So I'm actually scrolling down the site, and this is what I'm seeing on the site, which is so cool. The site is actually built out so well. Anyways, powered by Morpho, enterprises connect with Morpho to power any lending and borrowing use case at scale. So remember I told you, Morpho's in with Coinbase, right? CBBTC is being held mostly on Morpho, right? And Aerodrome a little bit. But remember, this is like the background piece for DeFi on the base chain. Let's not forget that, okay? Built for scale, right? Enterprise-grade infrastructure that allows you to launch in weeks, not months, okay? Facilitate crypto-backed loans, right? Plug into global liquidity, offer instant loans, and maintain full ownership over the product experience, which is very, very, very useful. The fact that you can back your loans with USDC or Bitcoin, or whatever the case is massive, right? And this is a lot of money and a lot of revenue that they're going to be generating, right? From a lot of fees, from having these different things on their platform. Become a lending curator. Curate unique strategies to streamline lending at any scale or sophistication as well. And you just have a read on some of the different platforms that are partnered with Morpho and that are using Morpho in the background, okay? Two more things to point out about Morpho before we get into the juicy stuff and how this is reshaping banking. Security audits, 27 plus security audits to date, which is bonkers. Like, there's no reason why this thing shouldn't be as secure as possible. You've had 27 plus audits to date. That is crazy. And I think they do audits regularly as well. And just to come down here as well, backed by leaders reshaping finance. This is the whole point and reasons why I made this video today, because I brought you some altcoins that are reshaping banking, and I am not kidding when I say that, right? Coinbase Ventures, as you can see down here that I talked about already, and Kraken Ventures was another big one. Pantera Capital as well is another big one, and these three are the ones that I know. I don't know these other ones, but these are really, really big venture capital. So I'm sure these guys are not going to want to see their assets go down, because when you're in venture capital, ultimately what you want to do is make money. So you're going to pump these specific altcoins to make sure you can get a return on your investment. Now to go into a little bit deeper of these Bitcoin backed loans with Morpho, right? Launch scalable, efficient, and transparent financial products faster. In January of 2025, Coinbase launched crypto backed loans powered by Morpho, marking the largest scale DeFi integration to date. The project gives millions of users access to on-chain loans without all the complexities associated with using DeFi directly, or in this case, using banking, right? Coinbase abstracts the blockchain itself, wallets, gas fees, and wrapping so that customers can seamlessly get USDC loans against their BTC collateral, all within the Coinbase app. This is what I'm talking about, right? On the top right here, you see that integrated by Coinbase. Coinbase is one of the biggest companies in crypto that we have, one of the largest exchanges on the planet in crypto. They're in the S&P 500 now, right? And they're on the NYSE as well. So the fact that they trust something like Morpho goes to show what kind of project Morpho is. And if you don't have any investment in Morpho yet, I would strongly consider it and strongly take a look at this asset, right? Now they have a little diagram of how all this works. So you have the user up at the top, right, that holds BTC. They deposit it into the Coinbase app here. The Coinbase app sends Morpho a CBBTC, which is the collateral BTC. Morpho sends back out USDC for the Coinbase app to borrow, and this person earns yield, and Morpho earns a fee as well. And Coinbase is facilitating all of this using Morpho, which is just absolutely phenomenal. You also have, don't get me wrong, BCBBTC already has around $6.36 billion, right, being used. And that's just at a glance. And you could watch this down here, which breaks down a lot more info about it as well. You guys have no idea. Nothing's even happening yet. Altcoin season hasn't even started yet. Like, you have no idea how much money is going to flow into the space, and specifically into Coinbase, and then obviously into Morpho as well. Right? I'm not trying to count my chickens before they hatch, but I'm kind of counting my chickens before they hatch. I'm not going to lie to you. And just another source of insight for you as well. Coinbase's market cap is sitting at $82 billion. I just have to give you perspective to put that out there of how much money this company is worth, and how much is going to be going into an asset like Morpho that's currently only sitting at a $668 million market cap. Like, you can't, I can't even fathom the amount of money that could potentially go into a platform like Morpho, even considering that there's already $8.5 billion locked in the platform, as you can see right here. Like, it's the easiest 12 to 15x you ever have in your life, and potential for a lot more. I cannot stress that enough. And just to talk about some of the customers that are with Morpho, Gemini, you see Ledger here. Spark was another one I talked about. That was about 3 videos up ago. I suggest you go watch that video as well. I'll actually leave it up on screen so you can go watch that after this video. Trust Wallet, Binance, Bitpanda. I know Coinbase is on here already. I think I've seen crypto.com come around here as well. I think that's coming up in just a second, right? You can see crypto.com right there. So a lot of people using Morpho, a lot of big companies using Morpho in the background. So, and when people find out about this altcoin, it's going to be really good things for the people that are holding this altcoin. And just something to give you a little bit more perspective, right, of how much money is currently in the global financial system. Now, this is going to sound a little bit crazy, but I'm going to break it down for you. So this is going to be something that more relates to Moonwell, but around 305 trillion in 2022 was locked up in global debt, including public and private markets, right? Valued assets in the financial institution of around $486 trillion in 2023. And this is all of credit, right? And we're talking about non-banking financial intermediaries, right? So they're not necessarily bank. This could be something like a loan, right? A loan place. Like over here in Canada, we have Money Mart. I'm not sure what the equivalent is in America, but you can do a quick Google search and find out for yourself what it is. It's pretty much a place where you go and get like payday loans and things like that, right? Had over 70 trillion in 2023 on top of the 486 trillion dollars, right? Which is I have to really break that down for you. This is the sector that these altcoins are targeting. Now, it's not to say that they're even going to get 10% of this market share anytime soon. It's obviously anything's possible, right? But even if they were to grab 1% of this market share, it's something like I don't even know, 1,000, 10,000x or whatever the case is, right? Astronomical numbers. And we're not even getting into things like derivatives, right? Derivatives play a massive role in the amount of, I call it fake money or copy assets that are sitting around, floating around in the marketplace. And that market cap is like over quadrillion at this point. I don't need to get into all that. That is for another video. But if you like the video, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below about your thoughts and opinions. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one.